the grace of heaven, virtue of enlightening masters, mercy of transmitters, and confidence placed by our senior lecturers and all of you for the opportunity to learn to talk about the great learning. 2 weeks ago, we already started, and I gave a brief introduction, a background information to the great learning. We know that there's the main text that was supposedly done by Confucius, and then there are 10 chapters. Core commentary that was composed by Zhengzi, which is the disciple of Confucius. He's also known as the sage of principle. In Chinese, it means 忠圣. We also talk about the story of Zhengzi and about his virtue and his dedication to the Tao and his profession of the Tao that's in him. So today we are going to come to the essence or the great learning proper, but I want to let's go to the class outline again. So we've talked about the author, and so the next agendas will be the most important aspect of the great learning, which is the three objectives. Some other place translated as the three what is that? Like guidelines. Yeah. In Chinese, it means 三纲领. And then we talk about the 8 stages of cultivation, 八条目. I'm not sure if this is a very accurate translation of the 八条目. And then the 5 progressive techniques in cultivation. And we are going to also touch upon some other concepts in the great learning, the fundamentals versus incidental, treasures and wealth, and finally we'll come to conclusion. We are going to spend 2 classes, hopefully, to explain the great learning. Can we go to slide 11, please? Thank you.
I did. You missed it.
But just one sentence.
How can we not forget transmitter Jin?
Yeah, transmitter Jin was originally from
New York. Yes.
Okay. I think they are doing the registration now. Yeah, after. Okay.
Explain the
Tao.
You got somebody to explain?
Okay, so we come to slide 11, which is about this is in the main text composed by Confucius. So this really kind of summarizes our mission in this life, why we are here, why we have this existence. So they're like we say the epitome, right? The epitome. Yeah. Okay, of the great learning. And this is actually the most important things in Tao cultivation. The first one, so the great learning starts with the way of the great learning. Do you still remember the great learning is for someone who wants to be, not just to be a scholar, to be a president, or maybe to be a minister, or to be a manager, a boss? It's to be, the great learning is to develop one into saints and sages, a saint or a sage. So this is we can say the highest level of learning. Okay, so the way of the great learning is to reveal or to manifest our bright virtue. And number 2 is to inspire others to also make a fresh start, to also awake others to their bright virtue. And finally, together, we will arrive at a state of perfection. I'm going to explain to you in details. Now, to manifest our bright virtue, Aka, also known as what? Buddha nature. Yeah, every one of us, all sentient beings have the Buddha nature. And this Buddha nature is very prominent in the enlightened beings. They are already aware of their Buddha nature. But in other other people or even other sentient beings, it's kind of covered. So we need to restore, we need to uncover, remove all the coverings to reveal this bright virtue. Okay, and so if you notice, these three objectives kind of corresponds with the three treasures we received during the Tao initiation ceremony. So the first one is really talking about our heavenly, our first treasure. Okay, yeah. So this is also almost the most important among the three, because if we are aware of our Buddha nature and we allow our Buddha nature to guide us to always manifest, then the rest of them, the second and the third, is just a logical outcome of the first treasure. Okay? So this is the main purpose of our life. A lot of times when we ask people what's the meaning of life, well, people who are not cultivating or who are not religious minded, they might think, oh, I want to be like an educator, a doctor, saving lives, or maybe some other things. And normally people pursue a lot of external things, material things. That's why there are so many problems in our world today. Okay, there's a very famous, a very popular paradox. Okay, it says that we have more now, but we are less happy. We have long highways, but we have short temper. We have fancy houses, but we have broken homes. So this really describes the world, the chaotic world, the all material, groping world we are all in. So what's the result of all this external pursuit of material wealth, reputation? Yeah. So we have a lot of, problems in the society, crimes, suicide. A lot of people have depression, things like that. Yeah, it's because they don't know they have this bright wisdom. They don't have this Buddha nature within them. So they allow their human heart to guide them to always search outward for gratification, for material, for wealth. Yeah, that's why there are so many scientists who are so, you can say this, they have the greatest of mind, but still they have problems like depression. We know there's Vincent van Gogh. Yeah, Van Gogh. He paints beautifully, but what happened to him? He committed suicide. There's also...
He cut off his ear.
No, I thought he also committed...
Yeah, before he committed suicide. Yeah, he cut off his ear.
Yeah, and also Ernest Hemingway, we all know he's a great American literary figure. He writes beautifully, and he writes with a lot of truth. But guess what? He also committed suicide. Yeah, so that's why we are so fortunate to be able to receive this Tao and to be awakened to our Buddha nature. There is a TED exchange program, a presentation by Jeff Lieberman. Have you ever heard of him? He's a host. He's a host of Time Warp on Discovery Channel. And he said something, what he said really hints at our, our Buddha nature, although he might not be aware that's called Buddha nature. But he says something really profound. If we have time in the second class, I'm going to show the video, but I just like to read a few lines from him. He said, the effect of having the most evolutionary advantageous tool, which means our human mind, is that we have no control. And when we don't have no control, then this mind generates all the possible realities. And this creates a class of human suffering. Things like jealousy, regret about something that happened in the past, and anxiety about your future. And this is something that no other organism would experience, only human being. Okay. He also say, we are all in this world for a long time. As we know, we have gone through so many life cycles, and we really become unaware to our Buddha nature. And so he said this I am is the root of our entire existence. The I am is latent in every single aspect of our existence. But just like a fish might never notice the water it swims in, we might never notice that I am because it's covered. Yeah, there are so many more. It's really very very truthful and very. I think it's talking about the Tao and about our Buddha nature. I read an article about some scientific discovery and experiment, and they noticed a person who is cultivating, then they have different brain waves, as I wrote on the blackboard. Normally, we as human beings, we have our minds wandering all the time, right? So there's a lot of activities, and our mind goes from one thought to another. It generates so many different thoughts. In that case, we are at what? Beta. That indicates very very fast and very busy activity of the mental activity. Yeah. So, and they did an experiment on a lady. They found that she had the alpha brainwave, and usually the alpha brainwave is associated with someone who might be, sometimes can be like retarded. Who does not have a lot of mental, activity. It can also be associated with someone who is always, meditating, who is in deep meditation, who have very few mental activities. Yeah, and so they found out that this lady has the alpha brainwave. And so they try to find out if she has any medical condition, but it turned out she's very perfectly healthy. And as it turns out, she's also a cultivator, a dog cultivator. Yeah, because so this is the ideal of cultivation should bring us from the delta brainwave to the alpha. And you can also see there is that theta that's associated with a Buddha, an enlightened being that has no thoughts at all, that's always in very deep meditation. Yeah, so practice the Tao and practice the three treasures will give us, the alpha brain wave, and also can give us the mental, physical health, well-being. Okay, so it's very important that we read, often practice the first treasure to always be aware of our Buddha nature, of our bright wisdom. This bright wisdom is all-knowing, okay? It's also, we say, the perfect enlightenment, the Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Okay, when we really practice this, then the rest will just fall into place. Because it takes a lot for us to get there, to get to manifest our bright virtue. So the number two is to inspire others to make a fresh start, to also transform others. So this is like our second treasure, to nurture our compassion. Yeah, remember, we want to learn to be like our Maitreya Buddha, to always deliver joy and lift people out of suffering. Okay, and compassion, there is a way the Buddhists explain. Compassion is that we have that love, that loving kindness towards anyone with no regard to their background, and whether we know them or we don't know them. It can be anyone on the street that we come across. And then the other part of compassion is that we have that empathy. When other people are suffering, because we consider we are part of the whole. Okay, when they are suffering, it's us who are also suffering. If people are not doing well, it's us who are not doing well as well. And that's also in the mind of a Buddha. Yeah, so in a few, in the coming slides, we also talk about some of the virtuous emperors in China history. When the country wasn't faring well, they always they blame on themselves. They don't blame on others. So that's the mentality of a saint or a sage. So to transform people, we always say, 点成师 transmitter always say the best form of compassion is not to. Of course, we say people materially, we help people materially, but the best form of help is when we can also introduce Tao to them, so they can also be awakened to their Buddha nature. They can be self-reliant. They can tackle whatever comes their way. And so that's the best thing we can do. And that's also one of our most important missions in this world. Okay, so when we can do all the first and the second, then naturally we will arrive at the state of perfection. It's the perfect kindness. Okay, so this is like the result. Remember the third treasure. Literally can also means what? To kind of blend, to unite, right? 第三宝合同, right? So it means that we blend with our Buddha nature. We let go of our human entities, our human mind. We kind of become one with our Buddha nature. We become one with the whole cosmos. Yeah. So this is returning to our essence. When we can do the above two, then we already will return to our root, to where we come from. Okay. In chapter 40 of the Book of Virtue, it says, "Returning is the motion of the Tao." Yeah. So the purpose of our existence here is that we come here to help, or we come here to resolve some of the karmic debts, but eventually we all want to return to the source. Okay, there's a saying by T.S. Eliot. He's a British poetry. He said, "We must not cease from exploration, and at the end of exploration, we are to return to where we started, but to know this place for the first time." We all came from that source, but are we all aware of our Buddha nature? No, right? So we are very blessed to have received this Tao. So we know we should be on this journey, the homebound journey, to go back to our original place. Okay, yeah. So I'd like to ask you: do you all feel happier after you receive the Tao and after you are like cultivating? All of us feel happier. Yeah, we have so many classes that talk about different aspects of Tao cultivation. We also have the causality. So from a more positive perspective, we have this mission. So we need to focus on our mission, focus on the positive side. And if there's any suffering or any kind of trials, tribulation that kind of happen in our life, we know that's really to help us resolve our karma. Yeah. So some people will say, actually, getting ill is also, like a cultivation. Yeah. become ill because they really help resolve some of our karmic debts. Yeah. So from either perspective, we should be happy. We should really let go everything. Okay. Let's go to the 8 stages. I'm not sure 八条目 in English it should be the 8 stages or the 8 aspects of dog cultivation. So maybe transmitters and our lecturers and all our dog members can help improve. Okay, so these are also the most important part of the great learning. And again, this is great learning. So this is meant for someone who want to be perfect, to have attained perfect enlightenment, who want to be above the mundane world, to arrive at Buddhahood. Okay. Now the first one, actually, let me see. Everyone has the. Okay, the first one is 觉悟. Okay, it means to get rid of attachments. Okay. Now, what do you think the attachments are? Some people, I guess they have not been they have not received the Tao, or they're not in the our heavenly Tao temple. They explain this like to exhaust the learning of everything like physics, chemistry, meteorologists, and things like that. To learn everything, so we can know what is the truth and what is the natural law. But we are in a temple. We know this is. There are so, like I said earlier, there's so many smart, very talented people. They have done some great discoveries, but still they cannot have control of their human heart, and so that results in a lot of problems for themselves and also for our world. Yeah. So the fundamental problem really lies in our heart. Okay, and we are talking about the human heart or the conscious heart. Okay, so to get rid of attachment means the attachment in our human mind. What are they? The 3 poisons, right? These are the most important, and also pride, right? What else? Doubt. Yeah, I think these are the 5. We say 地狱的5条根, right? Or means.
What are the 3 poisons?
Yeah, the 3 poisons.
What are the 3 poisons? Anybody can share? Is that
Greed. Anger. Ignorance. Yeah. And of course, out of the 3 poisons, ignorance is the most critical. When we get rid of ignorance, which is why we need to develop our divine wisdom to overcome the ignorance. When we have the wisdom, the divine wisdom, is like we have the Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, then everything will just go away. Yeah. So because of the 3 poisons, and also all this human imperfection, we say personalities and everything, we are really creating a lot of problems. Yeah, this because of the greed, we might be doing something illegally. Like remember the lecture from Taiwan, Fun, right? Lecture Fun. Yeah. In his previous life, he were in the business with 2 other people, and they had they really had did well at one time. And well, in the beginning, I guess people were not as greedy, but when there's the temptation, it will suddenly this huge world in front of us, then that's when the we say the tests, the tribulation arises. Yeah, So, tribulation. Okay, thank you for the correction. Yeah, so he killed the other two people, and kind of pocket all this the wealth they created together. And so, guess what? Yeah, something happened to him, and in this lifetime, yeah, he was caught in an accident. So it's very important. And when we don't have this, we say 心物. This is really the 心物. When we don't have this, then we don't have the the other sufferings, the forms of suffering. Remember, we have failure, unable to get what we want. When we have to part or depart from our loved ones. When we have the affiliation resulting from the 5 scandals. Yeah. So when we get rid of this, then we won't have all. We will not create any more karma, any more debts. Yeah. And so we can attain the truth. Okay. Which is the second objective, the truth. Here actually refers to the principle, to the perfect enlightenment. Okay, and so when we really attain the truth, this is not just like scientific truth. Okay, this is the truth of the universe. You can say it's part of the Four Noble Truth is part of it, right? Okay, yeah. So when we attain this, then again the rest of it will just fall into place. When we know the fundamental truth, when we attain the perfect enlightenment, then naturally we will have sincerity. Okay, and when we have sincerity, we have the proper mindset. We have this proper mind. It's again almost the same as. It's equal. It's equivalent to our Buddha nature. And after that, then we are a well-cultivated person. Okay, and with very good self-cultivation, then we are able to put a family to order, and we are able to run the country well, to govern the country well. And when all the countries are governed, are run well, then we have peace and tranquility and order in the world. Okay. Am I going too fast? Okay. So, let me we are going to talk about, and then this is to manifest the bright virtue. The second part of the objective is to transform others. This is, I would say, this is like put one's family in order, and also to govern a country well. And so, after this have been done, then we can arrive the state of perfection. Okay, so the state of perfection is that like there's peace in the world. There's no animosity, no adversaries, no conflicts. So only love, peace, and compassion prevails. Okay. Now there's some description of the state of perfection in this great learning. When we talk about peace and order in the world, this is still external. So when we talk about this from our Buddha nature perspective, really is that when we are one with our Buddha nature. So in this book, there are 2 places that kind of hint at our first treasure. Okay. Evelyn, do you have the handout? Can you please read the 2 quotes? Do you have the handout? Which slide 15? Okay. Yeah. Orioles.
Confucius say Orion knows where to rest, women not satisfied.
Yeah, so here it says that people would usually choose to live in a place. The capital city is usually should be the most secure place in a country. Yeah, because that's where the rulers, the emperors, and all these high-ranking officials are living. So there's very heightened security. Yeah, so it's a safe place. And then let's look at the second one. The chirping orioles perch in hill recess. Recess. That's an important word. Okay. Confucius says, Oriole know where to rest, and human beings not as wise. Okay. So, do you also get the picture? Now, this all talk about our first treasure. Yeah, that's the gateway of our Buddha nature. Yeah. So the first one is like talking about the valley spirit, okay, and now second one the hill recess, okay. So that's why our Buddha nature study, in our Buddha nature study lecture, Liu, he keeps repeating. He emphasizes the idea that we have to often practice the first treasure whenever we can, okay? Because this will allow our Buddha nature to flow out, to guide us. So we were, I know that this Buddha nature is really almighty. If we really recognize it, we appreciate it, then it's going to help us. And slowly we can get rid of all this, anxieties, vexation, and all this, like attachments. So even the orioles, oriole is some kind of bird. Okay, they know that animals they also have their that intuitive knowing where to rest. Like my brother has a dog. My mom would get the dog a bone. He's not going to eat it right away, because my brother, he considered my brother to be the closest, to be someone he can rely on. So he's going to hide the bone somewhere, and when my brother comes home, he's going to, grab it out and start eating. Yeah. So, but this is not very relevant. But we all should try to whenever we can, practice the first treasure, and we should really make the best use of our the first treasure. Okay, because when we can do that, then we don't have to worry the rest. Okay, the second one. Again, this is talk about arrive at the state of perfection. Joe, can you read? Can you read, please? 16.
How
Sublime.
How sublime Duke was. He aims at direction
Discretion.
He
Oh,
aims
sorry.
at discretion and reverence. As a monarch, he is dedicated to humanity. As a minister, he is dedicated to reverence for his monarch. As a son, he upholds filial piety. As a father, he demonstrates loving kindness, and in his interactions with his subjects, he upholds trustworthiness.
Thank you. So in Chinese, actually, it says that 为人君子以此 or 人. So it's really talking about the specific application of the perfection. So what is perfection? So it means that as a ruler, then we have that humanity. We aim at humanity. We will not stop until we are humane. And then as a minister, he's dedicated to reverence. Okay, so as someone working in the imperial court, or we are working in a government agency, we are working in any, work institution, then we should have that reverence for someone who is above us. We should also have that respect or that sincerity for our work. Okay, and so as a son, he upholds filial piety. Okay, he's a very filial person to his parents, and as a father, he also demonstrates loving kindness. And then in dealing with his subjects, the people of his country, he upholds trustworthiness, also sincerity. Some of us might have already heard a lot about Duke Wen. He's so well known for his virtue in the great learning, in the analysts, and also in the doctrine of the men. They have been alluded, reference to the Duke Wen so many times. There's a story associated with him that I want to mention. There's so many. Okay, so one of it is when he was still a duke, and he's looking for someone who can help him run his territory, and then he came across, Jiang Taigong, right? Is there an English for Jiang Taigong? Yeah. No?
Someone named John Tai.
Yeah, he was fishing. Jiang Taigong, he's actually the person who is kind of in charge of the Dao community, right, in this era. He was fishing, and he noticed that his fish tackle has no hook. No hook.
No, straight.
Straight hook, yeah. And there's something else I forgot. And he has some kind of dialogue with the Jiang Taigong, and he realized that's the person that he's looking for. And Duke Wen, he's someone who really appreciates talent. So on the way back to his territory, to the capital city, he invited Jiang Taigong to sit in a horse-drawn carriage. And he himself, he was already a duke. A duke is like someone that's under the emperor. It's someone that has the, what do you call it? Conference or some, it's like a duke is, well, that's not important. Okay, so, and he himself, he kind of led the horse and he walked and led the horse and let Jiang Taigong sit in the carriage. And according to legend, he walked for more than 800 steps. And guess what? Duke Wen, he's the first emperor of the Zhou dynasty. And Zhou dynasty lasted more than 800 years. Yeah, so there are more description of his virtue in the following slides. Let's continue. Why don't we just go on to Chen Jie?
Here is a refined man who is like a gem cut and carved and polished. How dignified he is and how majestic with perfect virtue and thou
Resplendent.
in him. He will never be forgotten by the people.
Yeah, thank you. So this describes that he is a person, Duke Wen, he's a person of perfect virtue. And the perfect virtue really also has to go through some, we say polishing, carving, but the result is like the gem, a diamond. It's also the result of chipping, right? Carving, yeah, polishing. Yeah. So we all need to polish ourselves so we can have a very smooth personality, and so our Buddha nature can also reveal. And so with his perfect virtue and Tao resplendent in him, the resplendent means that he's full of Tao, right? And so people will not forget him. Yeah. So sometimes when we want to attain certain status, okay, it's not just our, we cannot achieve it solely by just wanting. We have to really do a lot of things. We have to have other people's interests in our mind, prioritize, put other people ahead of us. But the most important thing is still the virtue, yeah, because virtue is the most important thing, and this is something that we can always that's always with us in whichever existence. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, now we talk about if transmitters, lecturers, or all of you have something to supplement, to add, please feel free. Okay. Now we talk about the ideal state of our existence, but how do we get there? So this is also. Is it time? Okay. This is also very in detail explained in the Great Learning. Now the first one is self-cultivation. Can you read it? Lecture
For
Jane?
me, Emperor Tang engraved the words on his bathing days. If I could cleanse and reform myself today, I should do so from day to day. Really, I should do so daily, continuously. From the Son of Heaven down to the common people, all must regard the cultivation of the self as the most essential thing.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, we gotta cultivate ourselves every single second of every single day.
Yeah, so this Emperor Tang, he's also a very virtuous emperor in Shang Dynasty. Okay, he's very virtuous, but still he thinks that he needs reminder every day. So that's why he engraved these words on his bathing bath. Actually, it's like washing.
Like a tub.
Basin.
Like,
Basin?
like in the old days, they bathed themselves in a wooden tub. You know those wooden tubs? It's not like the tubs of today, it's round.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, because we bathe every day, and every day when he gets in there, reminds him that we need to try to improve ourselves every day. It has to be from day to day, day in and day out. Yeah. Actually, there's another Confucius disciple who did something similarly. He also put something, because in Confucianism, being loyal and being righteous is also a very important character qualities. And so one of his disciples has this on his belts. Being loyal and being righteous. Yeah. So we also maybe in the beginning we
Wood and grain?
no the words loyalty and righteousness on the belts. Yeah. Okay, so in the beginning we might need reminders, but hopefully we don't need them any now. Okay.
We engrave it in our brain.
Can I add a couple points?
Sure.
When we take a bath, there's two meanings there. One is we take a bath just for our body, right? And in the meantime, we have a lot of thought in our mindset. So we also have to take a bath to clean
Clean our mind.
out our mindset. It is very pure, very positive. And then take things all day, the Enlightened Master, they just took a bath. What happened? They are enlightened suddenly. Why? So he said, how can I take a bath? My body, who feel it? Who ready to take a bath? Okay? Because they're spirits. because it's Buddha nature. Okay, because they took a bath, suddenly they're enlightened. I wish we can be. We are not that level usually, because those the enlightened masters, okay, they take a bath, suddenly just enlightened, because they say this body. No, I'm not washing only the body, because it's Buddha nature, the spirit's inside. So they took a bath, and suddenly they said, wow, who feel it? Who feel it? Because the dead body is the same body. How come dead body no feeling at all, right? But we take a bath, we have a feeling, we feel it. So they suddenly they're enlightened. They find that they're Buddha nature because of that. They are taking a bath. So that's a beautiful thing that happened to them. One of the enlightened masters, that's how he got enlightened.
He couldn't, well, at the time, they couldn't shower, right? They couldn't make
Once a
themselves
while, once a while.
Right, so every 30 days or something.
Take a
And all of a
shower.
sudden, he went to the bath or showered, and then he just like,
They don't have
ask
shower
himself.
in the old days.
That's how, but
Or they pour water on themselves.
washing themselves.
Yeah.
So he asked the question to himself, who's washing? Like, who are we washing? What are we washing?
Yeah, interesting. Do you remember the name?
So are disciples of Buddha.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can Google it. Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution.
They are enlightened.
We just don't think.
We just,
We just
take a shower.
wash.
We have to keep thinking about it. We have to have that question in our head. Who's washing? Try to see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, and so that's why whenever we can, in our staff member development or training, we are asked to memorize some of the questions or some of the words by Buddha, like Holy Teacher's elixir, and also some of the basic concepts of the Tao terminology. These are all very helpful as reminder, because if they are already in our mind, and when we come across some situation that I'm going to explode in rage, then that kind of echoes, and then we might gradually calm down. And so they are very important. It's important that we try to memorize. Don't think that's a very painful drill. They are really very helpful, especially someday when we have to present a class, and they will come in very handy. So it says, from the sum of heaven down to the common people, all must regard cultivation of the self as the most essential thing. Yeah. So if you look at the history, if you read the history, and we'll notice that behind every prosperous, any thriving kingdom or dynasty, there are always virtuous emperors. Han dynasty is also a very strong, a very powerful dynasty. It's because they also have a lot of very virtuous emperors. There is an emperor from that dynasty. He likes lamb. He likes lamb so much, and so one day he told his queen, but then the queen said, "Oh, I'm going to ask the chef to prepare some lamb for you." He said, "No, don't do that. Yeah, because if I ask them to cook the lamb for me, then how many sheep or goats will have to be killed?" Yeah, so he could put aside his craving or his desire for something, but put other sentient beings' life before this. There's also another emperor from that dynasty. One day he had a diarrhea, and we know that usually the emperor's meals were very meticulously prepared, and so he had a diarrhea, and so someone in the family asked him, "What did you eat?" He said, "In the meal I ate, there's a roach." And he didn't. Yeah, so I guess I don't know, but he had the diarrhea. Then, okay, the family member is going to tell the officials about it. But then this emperor also stopped him. He said, if we let everyone know that this ship will be punished. Yeah, he said it's okay. It's okay. Can you imagine that happening to our presidents now? Yeah, let's go to the next slide. Talking about sincerity,请讲师, can you go to the next slide? Okay. Okay, your turn.
To read.
Be sincere in thoughts. Okay. Making our mind sincere means no self-deception, just like when we are disgusted by bad smell or become infatuated with a beautiful face. This is modesty, being true to the self. Therefore, a superior man must be watchful over himself when he is alone. When people observe you, they see right to your core. So what's the use of being deceitful? Therefore, we say, internal sincerity expresses itself outwardly without obscurity.
Thank you. Okay, so we know that sincerity is one of the 5 virtues, and also the 5 constant virtue, and also the 8 virtues. It's so important. Being sincere, it's not just being faithful to others. The most important and the most I would say desirable is that we are sincere to our Buddha nature. When we are sincere to our Buddha nature, then what we do, what we think, what we say will naturally be in the Tao, and we won't be bringing chaos to outside world. We are also always at ease with ourselves. Okay, so it means that we have no self-deception. Like when there's a bad smell, we naturally turn away from it. But then when we look at something beautiful, we want to, take another look. Yeah, so just being, natural. And actually, we know that Tao and cultivating the Tao is about being natural. There's no pretense, there's no overdoing or underdoing. Yeah. And in the Buddha Nature class by Lecture Liu, we talk about remember the 4 4equanimity. 经常是 Yeah, being what? Ordinary, 就平时 平淡 plan, 平常 common, yeah.
Normal, usual, typical,
Yeah, so it just doing,
regular,
yeah.
ordinary.
It's nothing out of the ordinary. We just do what we are supposed to do. We do things based on the 5 constant virtues. Then that's Tao. Okay. So this is being modest. This is also about modesty. Modesty, being true to ourselves. Okay. So there's no pretension. So because there's that sincerity in heaven and earth, there's also the sincerity within us. So when people are not watching us, when we are in solitude, if we are sincere, we will not do anything that's bad, that's improper, right? Yeah, and so this is also a very important concept in Confucianism, discretion in solitude. Yeah, because, we might want to do something so that we don't violate the regulations or the taboos, the precepts, but this is still external. We are still bounded by the external regulations, but really, from our Buddha nature, we know that's the right thing to do. Otherwise, if we don't do the right thing, it's our Buddha nature, it's our conscience that's going to hurt. And when we are sincere, in the doctrine of Min, there's a saying that when one is sincere, then he's almost in the proximity of saints and a deity. Yeah, because when we are sincere to our Buddha nature, it means we have our Buddha nature working for us, and our Buddha nature is full of wisdom, full of energy, okay, full of methods, so we can always accomplish our goal. And I think this is really my own personal experience. Like nowadays, I'm just so busy, and there's so many things that I have to do, at the same time. So I have to multitask, and I think if I did not have my Buddha nature with me, then I think I'll be so panicking and I'll be so stressful. But I always trust my Buddha nature that it's going to help me. It's going to help me pull through everything, difficulty, favorable conditions or unfavorable conditions. Yeah, that's why I also encourage all of you. I know people, you are doing better than me, but we kind of encourage each other that we always need to focus on our Buddha nature. We need to do whatever we need to do to bring out our Buddha nature. Yeah, so when we have this sincerity, then it's going to express outwardly, and we are going to be a very proper person. Yeah, there are people, sometimes they pretend to be very proper, they pretend to be very courageous, or they pretend to want to helping other people. But if they're not being watched, then do you think they will still do the same thing? And if this is not part of them, are they going to do this for a long time? Right? So someday they're going. The truth will be out. Yeah. So everything has to be from our Buddha nature, and it has to be from that sincerity. Xiaomi, can you? 曾子.
Sensu said, what 10 eyes are seeing? What 10 fingers are indicating?
Pointing, actually. Pointing. Yeah.
Basically pointing.
We thought you made a mistake, Johnny.
Okay, isn't it sublime? Whether wealth adorns a house, virtue adorns a person. Right. With a virtuous person, he is generous and broad-minded, and the body is at ease. Therefore, the superior man must make his thoughts sincere.
Okay.
Sincerity underlines everything from beginning to end. Without sincerity, there exists nothing. Therefore, a man of fine cultivation should value sincerity most.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So again, he's talking about how we should be sincere. There are 10 eyes seeing, okay, and 10 fingers pointing or indicating. Yeah. So this is something that we have to really approach with awe or with reverence. Okay. So when 10 eyes are watching, it's talking about people, outside of us, but it can also refer to, like we always say, we have 5 angels or 5 guardian of the Lords, with us all the time. So there's also the saying in Chinese, 举头三尺有神明, 3 feet above us, there's always a deity or a saint. Yeah. So we just have to be very cautious. Yeah. And it actually, when we are thinking, a thought is like an energy that's going to rummage in the universe, and that's going to be already recorded in our alaya, right? Our subconsciousness, and so that's going to be with us all the time. And it continues to say, wealth adorns the house. So wealth decorates the house. Okay, we can also say like beautiful clothes decorates a person. But what's more important is to have what? To have virtue decorates us, right? Yeah. If we have, there are so many people who are very fashionable, but if they don't have that matching kindness, do you think they are beautiful? Right? No, right? Yeah. So, but if we look at some of our predecessors and people, from in our Dao's lineage, they only care about perfecting their virtue. They don't care about what they eat, what they wear. Like our predecessor Liu, he's very well known, for his thriftiness. So is our grand predecessor, and we also know Yan Hui, another favorite disciple of Confucius. He lives in such a rundown place, and he eats from a gourd. Okay, he didn't even have a proper, eating a bowl. Yeah, but he's still happy. He's still happy because he already, he received this blessing. He received this good thing, and this is the most precious thing that's going to make us happy, to make sure that we have a fulfilled life. Yeah. Okay. Now, the second line is from the doctrine of the mean. So any of the quotations that doesn't have any source means they are from this book, from the Great Learning. So in the doctrine of the mean, it says sincerity underlies everything from beginning to end. Without sincerity, there exists nothing. Yeah. So sometimes when we try to do something to establish marriage, but if there's no sincerity, if there's no the kind-hearted that we want other people to be good, to be safe, then that effort is really good for nothing. Yeah. Okay. So sincerity really is the soul behind everything. So sincerity, we can say it's more like our efforts. And now let's look at the next one, which is rectify the mind. Okay, transmitter Jen.
Rectify the mind. The cultivation of a person lies in rectifying the mind. When we are angry, we cannot conduct ourselves properly. When we are frightened, you cannot be corrected.
Sorry.
Yeah, it should be corrected, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When there is something we desire, we cannot be correct. When there is something we are anxious about, we cannot be correct. When the mind is not present, we look but do not see. We listen but do not hear. We eat but don't taste our food. This is the meaning of the cultivation of the person lies in the correction of the mind.
Thank you. Now, this is also a very important paragraph because it really talks about how we can transform from our heart, from the conscious mind to the heavenly mind, or to the Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Yeah, the heart of no thoughts, the heart that will not create any more karma. Okay, so when it kind of explains what is in what condition then we don't have the proper mind. So when we are angry, then we don't have the proper mind. Remember, angry, that's one of the three poisons. It's very, very poisonous. Because when the person still has angry or excessive anger, then when the person passes away, then he goes down to the hell. And once a person goes down to the hell, it's so hard for the person to be able to get out of it. So That's why Holy Teacher and other saints and Buddha always encourage us to really correct our temper, to change our temperament, to have very, very peaceful disposition. Yeah, because no matter how many good deeds we do, if we still have anger or resentment, then we cannot become perfectly enlightened. So when we have this, then we cannot do our conducts will not be proper. Or when we are frightened, that's also not Tao. Okay, Tao is always very peaceful. Or when there's something we desire, greed, that's we cannot be correct. We cannot have the heavenly mind. Okay, and when there's something we are anxious about, we cannot be correct. So this. Remember this. These are things we have to kind of watch over, to be careful with. Okay. Now, when the mind is not present, it means that we are not living in the moment, right? So, when we are in that state, then we look but we do not see, right? We listen but we do not hear. Yeah. So, a very important important lesson is that we have to try to live in the moment, because when we live in the moment, we do things with such concentration, then we can give all our best efforts to that matter on hand. Then this is how we guarantee that we can do it well. We can achieve the desirable results. Okay. So it's very important. But remember, the proper heart eventually is a heart of what? It's like a body mind. So it's a heart that has no thoughts, that's going to just react to things as they happen, but then go to, it's going to subside when things go. Okay, yeah, and this is very, very important part of the cultivation. Transmitter link, please. The next one.
Regulate one's family.
Yeah.
When there's someone we love, we are biased. We are
Biased.
And interesting on this one here. On the dictionary they say different.
Oh.
Biased.
Yes. When there is something we hate, we are biased. When there's something we are in awe of, we are biased. There's someone we pity, we are biased. When we are lazy, we are biased. Those who love someone and yet know their bad points, or who hate someone and yet know their good points, in few and far between. Hence there's a
Proverb.
A man does not know his own son's evil, or the richness of his own corn. This shows that if we do not cultivate ourselves, we cannot regulate our family.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, so I would say there are two parts to this statement here. Okay, the first one is that telling us something we need to be to get kind of let go of. Okay, as we know that there are four great wisdom when one really achieve enlightenment. Remember that? The four great wisdom. The first one is what? The superb observing, the divine observing wisdom, and then there's the
Universal equal wisdom.
perfection of
Perfection
conduct.
of conduct's wisdom.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
yeah, and then after that is what? The
Great mirror wisdom.
yeah, the great mirror wisdom. Okay, right.
That's in the list. Okay? You guys
Yeah,
can
yeah,
look
yeah.
it up. Read it
Mhm.
up. The four.
He knows the whole vocabulary.
It's transferred from the five, the eight consciousness. You guys remember the eight consciousness?
Yeah. Okay. So So when we really attain the perfect enlightenment, then we are really all knowing. We know what to do and what not to do. And we also have the four equanimity that we talked about just now. We don't have very strong passion. We don't have very strong feeling. We are all always peaceful. We are always at ease, right? And actually also talk about like the three supreme virtue according to Confucius, right? Do you remember the three? 圣德班、行德班应该知道三达德。Yeah, wisdom, yeah, and benevolence, and then courage. Yeah. Okay. Now the next part of the paragraph is talk about that we have to be objective. Yeah, because we are all human beings. We are not perfect. So when we love someone so much, we must still realize that they have their own maybe shortcomings. So we don't become very partial. Like we love you, and then you are perfect. And if we don't like someone, then we don't recognize their good points. Yeah, that's something we also have to be. Yeah, this is very helpful when we are dealing with people in our family, with friends, or in the workplace, and also in the temple. Yeah. Okay, next one. What's
Kyle, let Kyle,
the child? Kyle, yeah.
Kyle read it.
Yeah, that's sweet. Okay.
Wake him up.
There has never been a case where a man could not educate his own family, and yet could educate others. Therefore, the superior man prefers the education for the country. Perfects the education for the country without leaving his own home. Filial piety is means by which you serve your rulers.
Fraternal.
Fraternal submission is the means by which you serve your elders. Compassion is the means by which you serve, you deal with others.
Thank you. Good job. Okay. The fraternal submission, actually, this refers to brotherhood, fraternity. Yeah. Okay. So if we are not able to harmonize the family, if we don't demonstrate all these qualities in governing a family well, then it's impossible for us to be able to educate other people to stabilize a society. Okay. The next one, lecture Kai. Lecture Kai.
There has never been a case.
No.
No, govern a country. No, I think you have
Oh,
my.
okay, governor.
Oh, he sees it? I don't have it here.
Practices filial piety, he will extend filial piety to the ruler. When one couple's brotherhood, he will extend it over his spirit. The humane person will treat everyone with compassion.
Okay.
If the matriarch's family upholds the benevolence, the whole nation.
It's the monarch's family.
Oh, monarch, sorry, the monarch.
Matriarch.
Upholds benevolence, the whole nation will tend to be. If the monarch's family members are modest and considerate, the whole nation will tend to be modest and correct. If the monarch is avarice and brutal, his country is bound to be chaotic.
Okay. Yeah. So we just have to do in order to fulfill our vows, in order to help transform other people, then we have to walk the talk. We have to be the role model. Okay. Yeah. I think these are pretty straightforward. But I'm going to share a story. Just a short story. Have you ever heard of Wayne Dyer? He's the inspirational speaker. Yeah. Okay. So he wrote a lot of books that aims at inspiring people to work for perfection, to work for a fulfilling life. Okay. But then once when his daughters are still at school. Once they have to, he had to drive them to school, and the girls were very slow, doing this and doing that, and he got very very angry, and so he started swearing at the girls. So the girls said, I don't know what your reader would think of you, because you encourage people to be nice, to be patient with people, and now you are doing this to us. Yeah. So now in the temple, we want to create a very harmonious temple. We want to make it a very peaceful place where people can learn things, people can improve. But as a staff member, we have to really be the role model. We have to watch what we are doing, especially like after the lunchtime, when we have people doing the three treasures, we have to be the one who take the initiative to help maintain the order. We ourselves have to be gentle speaker. We should not be talking in a high pitch. We should not be talking really loud. Yeah, and at lunchtime, we always allow the new members or relatively new members to get their food first. So to make sure that they have food, and we always help maintain the order. Okay, if we as a staff member are so quick to grab the food, we are always talking very loud, we are not caring about others, then people will also follow suit. And this is what the great learning talk about. When it comes to transforming people, we cannot transform people simply by asking them to do that. We have to really profess. We have to do what we preach. Okay. Anyone would like to add? I don't know. I can't finish. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Do we have any questions?
So far. Shiva.
If you ask if any one of them have a question.
Detail. I'm not too detail. It's okay.
Any comments?
We enjoy it, everything is good.
She understands.
Yeah.
We
Translated.
Okay.
three people translate.
Good.
Most translators, beautiful.
So
Good
tell
job.
how
Some of the words are like
tell how we are very happy that they
Use the simplest words.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah.
How you do that?
Yeah. She doesn't know how to do simple.
他在尝试给大家都在尝试，
Okay.
我也在尝试。
Sorry. So should I just kind of wrap up now?
Can you summarize?
Summarize the whole class
Uh,
in a few words.
oh, okay.
In a paragraph.
So to summarize what we have just talked about so far, there's still more. Okay, so we have to bear in mind our mission in this life. Okay, so just like the Book of Virtue said, returning is the motion of the Tao. So our goal in this lifetime is to manifest, to restore our Buddha nature, and also help others restore their Buddha nature, and together we can all go back. But in order to achieve this goal, we have to follow, the eight phases, right? Because in order to bring peace to the world, or in order for us to all return to where we came from, we have to first fundamentally get rid of the attachments. Because if we still are attached to something, then we cannot rise above. We cannot go back. Yeah, so that's all. That's very important. And just also remember the different steps. Okay, and sincerity and rectify the mind is very important. So I'd like to share a poem by Wang Yangming. He is a philosopher who studied the heart. He's like engaged in the 心学 right?
Psychology.
Wang Yangming 很有名的。
Psychology.
Yeah, psychology. No, he's 王阳明。对对 ，Yeah. 心学的。
Scholar. No,
Yeah.
but he's in psychology. That's called
He's also okay.
心学 psychology，
心理学。
心学跟那个他好像是 Buddha talks about Buddha nature 的，他讲了很多。
Psychology.
Yeah. No, it's not just
It's
science.
about the mind.
Yeah.
而且好像
Metaphysics.
Study of heart and mind.
Yeah, right. The study, yeah, right. The study of the heart and mind. So let me just read this in Chinese first, and I'll translate. 无恶，无善无恶，心之体；有善有恶，意之动。知善知恶，是良知；为善去恶，是格物。So everything is talking about Buddha nature. So it means having no kind or no vice. That's the essence, or that's the tea, the essence of the heart, right? Okay, but when we have the concepts, we have the notion of bad and good, evil and kind. That's because that's the reaction or the activity of our conscious mind. 这心之动哈. But when we can tell what is kind, what is good from what is bad and what is vicious, then that's the true, we say the good knowledge, right? 良知. Yeah. And finally, so if we can perform good things and just get rid of all the bad things, bad thoughts, and also stay away from performing all these bad things, that's called 格物. Yeah, and this is the first step of the cultivation. 格物. Okay. Okay, class time's is up. I want to ask for forgiveness of Buddha's incense if I say anything improper or incorrect, and I also like you to correct me afterwards. Thank you so much.